Very technical stuff here, as you can see. Good start. All right. Yeah. So first things first, as Jordan mentioned, I'm John Magill, founder and CEO of Zaprite. It's a Bitcoin payments company. I'll go through that in more detail, obviously, on these slides. But I'll be here all day. If anybody has any questions, if we have time for Q&A, we'll do some at the end. But if we don't get through it, just come see me. I'm happy to do a demo, chat through, show you guys all about Zaprite, and answer any questions at that point. Email me, hit me up on Twitter anytime. Feel free to do that. We'll chat. So what I want to do here is kind of like, there's two parts to this presentation. It's kind of why Bitcoin payments and then why Zaprite and how that can help. You know, we're all here because we understand the store of value thesis of Bitcoin. That's why we're here. That's why we want to build these products and these services that we can help other businesses and our clients like do the same thing and understand it and the value that it brings to businesses. Getting Bitcoin on your balance sheet through building a treasury is a great first step. Payments is a logical extension of that. So payments is probably the most efficient way to get Bitcoin on your balance sheet. It's opening up thousands of individual channels to all of your customers and getting that Bitcoin in directly. So it's part of the same thesis. It's the same calculus you're making. You're just trying to build this Bitcoin treasury, but doing it through payments is just another efficient method. So just try to keep that in mind as we go through these slides, is that, you know, we're all kind of headed for this ultimate end game where a lot of these financial products revolve around Bitcoin in some shape or fashion. And payments is just another play that you can tie into that to actually help your clients build a Bitcoin treasury. And also just how we can help at Zaprite. There might be a lot of people in this room who are, you know, financial advisors or otherwise. Maybe they're, you know, collecting fees through AUM, so they might not be directly invoicing themselves, like running consultancies or invoicing out. Like, so they might not use some of Zaprite's products, but you can. What I hope to do here today is kind of just instill this idea that like these are products that you can actually introduce to your customers, your clients, and your businesses that you deal with as well. Because it does offer them, as I said, these like really efficient ways to get Bitcoin onto a balance sheet. So why Bitcoin payments? You know, I'll go through the three highlighted ones here in more detail, but like, you know, most of us in this room probably understand a lot of these benefits: reduce costs, eliminate chargebacks, you know, faster settlements, mitigating the risks of bank failures. Like, you know, in this day and age, it might actually be prudent to have the 2 to 3 months of runway in Bitcoin. You don't know if your bank is going to fail and you're going to be able to make payroll. So having an emergency fund in Bitcoin actually might be a critical thing that a lot of people are overlooking. Redundancy of payment rails. Again, you might have, you know, credit card companies shut you down or banks shut you down, and you want to be able to flip and choose between payment methods, and having this redundancy in the background as well just offers you that flexibility if those things happen. Obviously, it accepts payments globally. It runs 24/7, 365. There's no foreign exchange. It's just like, you know, straight into your wallet. And it's a better customer experience. So, you know, we've all gone to websites where you have to pay in credit card, and there's these big long forms like full of like different fields you got to fill in and drop downs you got to select. You got to put in your address and KYC and all this kind of stuff. It just adds a lot of friction. Bitcoin payments are just a superior experience. You know, especially as things evolve and we move from QR codes to NFC and tap to pay, and we can replicate a lot of those experiences that are in the current fiat world, but just without a lot of the friction that goes along with having to pass through a lot of information in that process. And then obviously the big one, protect against inflation. Obviously we all know the dollar is just melting away, fiat currencies are melting away, and so really we want to help businesses and individuals to build wealth, protect that wealth into the future and through generations. So just to touch a little bit briefly on some of these slides. So the reduced costs, you know, credit cards can cost between 3% and 5%, particularly for online payments for a card not present. These are huge fees, 187 billion in fees paid in the US alone in 2024, which is staggering when you think about it. And those fees can be a significant percentage of profit margins. So if you imagine you're running maybe like a small coffee shop and you're running tight margins, you got 15% margin, and 3% of that is going out in fees. That's 20% of that profit margin is going in fees alone, which is crazy. So if you can get those fees down below 1%, which is most typical, if you're doing it self-custody, obviously it's a lot cheaper. If you're running through platforms, there's fees to pay. But getting those down below 1% can make a huge difference to your bottom line. Chargebacks. Chargebacks are actually becoming a huge thing. They've always been there, but as we know, credit card payments can be reversible up to 90 days. Global chargeback volume is growing at an incredible rate, up to 20 billion by 2028. And friendly fraud is a huge thing that's on the rise. And if you're not familiar with what friendly fraud is, that's where the customer actually initiates the chargeback by some spurious method. They just claim they didn't get the product or what it is. It's increasing a lot in a world where people are just really struggling for cash. They'll buy things online, they'll make up an excuse they didn't get it, and they'll get refunded on their credit card. And these are things that merchants have to deal with quite regularly, and obviously, as we know through the numbers, it's growing. Inflation protection. So as I mentioned before, we're all trying to speak to these businesses and clients that we have and help them to build Bitcoin treasuries. And payments is an efficient way to do that. It's an efficient way to get Bitcoin onto your balance sheet. And obviously, the stronger your balance sheet, the more you're going to protect yourself and your profits into the future. And obviously, all of that, as we know as Bitcoiners, is done through Bitcoin's ability to credibly enforce its fixed supply of 21 million. It all revolves around that. And that's really the message that we can drive home to a lot of our clients and customers is the future protection that Bitcoin offers by just having this stronger balance sheet over time. So with that said, what is Zaprite? It's a Bitcoin payment gateway. We're not a processor. We don't process funds. We don't do exchange of any kind. So that's important to understand. So we don't have any KYC or anything. You can sign up with just an email address. It's a really, really fast and frictionless onboarding. But it's Bitcoin and fiat, and that's important for a couple of reasons. But as you can see on the screen on the right there, a typical Zaprite checkout, which offers Bitcoin Lightning, stablecoins, card payments. We've got ACH, Cash App Pay, all those different things. So we recognize that we're in this, fiat world, and we all want to, have hyper Bitcoinization, but it's not going to be the flip of a switch. It's not going to happen immediately overnight. There's going to be this kind of in-between Venn diagram where there's this overlap of these two worlds that are meeting. And so we're really building a product for that world, is where we want to meet merchants where they are. We want to say, you don't have to change anything about your current infrastructure or payment methods. You can come in and connect a Square account, a Stripe account, Authorize.net, PayPal, whatever it might be, and then connect your hardware wallet through an Xpub or software wallet or whatever exchange, maybe Strike or something like that, and have all these payments on one checkout experience. So now you're promoting Bitcoin to a first-class citizen to all your customers and saying, hey, I prefer Bitcoin. You can offer like optional discounts on the Bitcoin if you want, or premiums on the fiat side. So really, it's about just saying to your customers, I accept Bitcoin, I prefer Bitcoin, and here's a very easy way to do it. And you're not having to have those side conversations of, hey, do you want to pay in Bitcoin? I've got this other link you can go to over here. And when you want to pay, tell me, and I'll give you a rate and a price and address and all this kind of stuff. This just like blends it straight into your existing payment rails, but unifies it all in this one unified payment checkout experience. And these hosted checkouts are very simple to create. You can onboard to Zaprite with just an email address, OAuth into Stripe, Strike, Square, whatever it might be in 1 to 2 minutes, and be accepting Bitcoin 2 minutes later. That's how quick and easy it is. There's no coding or servers required, and you can spin up these checkouts in numerous different ways, which I'll go through some of the key products that we have as well. So just to give a really quick overview of how it actually works, which is kind of just what I mentioned before, but you can see it in the diagram here, is the merchant just comes along to Zaprite. They've got maybe an Unchained Vault, they've got a Strike account, they've got Stripe for card processing payments already. So they just connect these into Zaprite, they sign up for Zaprite, connect these payment methods, and then they build these checkouts so that when the customer comes along, they have the choice, they make their payments, and then that Bitcoin routes straight around into the customers. Like, let's say in this case, it's an Unchained Vault. So we have an API connection directly into somebody's Unchained Vault on a received basis. So we can generate these receive addresses and have these invoices go straight into their Unchained Vault, which is pretty amazing, because if you're you're sending out 5-6 figure invoices, you're going to do those on chain. They're not going to be on Lightning, and you're going to want them to go into some kind of secured custody, whether it's self-custody or collaborative custody. And having that ability to do that without having intermediate steps or holding Bitcoin in hot wallets in businesses where people have to manage it and you've got processes in place, that's a really key aspect. So this is really just to illustrate that Zaprite doesn't touch the payments at all. We're not part of the payments flow. We're completely non-custodial. We're just the piping that gets the payments where they need to go. And we offer all of these merchant tools to be able to do that. So one of the tools is the invoicing. This was the original product we built. I built Zaprite initially because this is a need that I had. I started working when I was living in Canada back in 2018. I started working for Bull Bitcoin, doing UI, UX graphic design. That was my background. And I got a job working with Francis at Bull Bitcoin doing UI, UX design, and he was paying me in Bitcoin. And I needed a way to send them an invoice, right? They're a legitimate business. They need a professional invoice for their records and books. I wanted to set something up where I could get paid directly into my wallet of choice, my cold storage. I was trying to run one of the original Casa nodes. I don't know if anybody is familiar with them, but I tried to run one of those with, there you go, with BTC Pay Server. Very, very difficult for somebody who is even technical like me to be doing that in 2018, 2019. Things have got, a hell of a lot better. BTC Pay Server is amazing, and Casa are building some amazing products. But back then at the early stage, it was very difficult to do this type of thing. So I built this product for this need that I had. I just wanted to be able to send an invoice, and whenever they clicked on the button, it calculated a live rate, it pulled an address from my wallet, they made the payment, and we settled it, and we tracked it through the mempool, and we sent all the email communications. So this was the original product that I built, the MVP. And it's since evolved. Now we've got recurring invoices and auto pay and save cards on file and a whole bunch of stuff that you would find in a traditional invoicing platform. So if you are somebody who sends out invoices or you work with clients who do that, this is a really good way. This is a top level professional invoicing tool that will suit anybody's needs. So if they are invoicing, this is a great way to get Bitcoin onto their balance sheet. Event and ticket management. This is a new product that we released just recently. There might not be a lot of overlap again in this crowd in here, but maybe some of you run events or you have clients that run events. But you probably all notice it you all would have received a ticket here because Jordan and Wyatt and the guys at the space were using us for their ticket issuance and sales for this event. So thank you for doing that. Really appreciate it. I believe it all went smoothly, so that's awesome to see. But again, this is a product we built because we just had this. We saw that our customers were using our generic payment links to sell tickets, and so we figured that we would just build them a better tool. And so this is where this came from. The API, again, the API is something we've been building out over the last kind of like 18 months or so, and it's gotten to a really, really powerful state where you can build any custom payments flow that you need. So whatever you can think of, even if Zaprite doesn't have a tool for it, you can use this API and build your own custom flows. Maybe you're running your own SaaS platform, or you're running an exchange, or you're doing something where you want to be able to take payments or subscription payments or whatever it is from customers. We've got a lot of hosted miners that work with us. So they sell rigs where they generate invoices through the API, and then they generate their monthly energy costs through Zaprite's API to be able to create checkouts and send to their customers as well. So this is really powerful. It's got everything that you would need to manage contacts, create orders, and invoices. And you're basically just getting a checkout URL where you can redirect your customers to that. They pay, and then they go back to your platform. So very powerful way to basically solve any payment use case that you might have. And then some of the other tools, we have some e-commerce integrations. We've got WooCommerce, we've got Shopify coming soon. We have our regular payment links, as I mentioned, which is kind of like a one-to-many. If you think of invoicing as one-to-one, payment links is like what you see on the right. You're selling some random product, whatever it might be. You create the checkout, and it's now one-to-many, so like thousands of people can land on that checkout and make purchases. Payment requests are just simple one-off payments, like a kind of minified invoice. And we have virtual point-of-sale terminals as well. We gear most of our products mostly towards the online space. So somebody like Square does like a way better job of the in-person retail point-of-sale things. And it's phenomenal now that they have actually released Bitcoin payments to 4 million merchants, which is incredible. But we do have a very basic virtual point of sale terminal that you can spin up, which is a web-based, mobile optimized screen that just allows you to take random payments, whether you're at a meetup or a farmer's market or something like that. Reporting and accounting. We have a lot of tools that give you kind of income summary reports. We've got full accounting and cost bases. All our reports, you can export CSVs for orders, transactions, invoices, everything you got in Zaprite. And they've got like 20 columns full of information, everything that you would need. Cost bases, like the USD rate, the Bitcoin rate at the time, timestamps, the wallet used, all of that kind of stuff. We have a full breakdown between Bitcoin and fiat, so you can see how much Bitcoin you took in, what was the USD accounted value for that. Not just USD, by the way, but we actually operate globally, so like you can, whatever your local currency is, euros, JPY, whatever it might be. So the reporting on it is really robust. And then the last one, accounting integrations to automate data. Some of you might be familiar with Jordan and the Bitment crew, what they're building here, which is a phenomenal product. So we're in talks with them to actually build a direct connection there as well, so that all of this information that you're collecting in Zaprite, you can then send to different accounting platforms. We've got a QuickBooks integration coming in the next kind of week or two, and then this will be an even better and more fledged out integration than the QuickBooks one, because Bitment are doing a lot of things in a Bitcoin native way, so that we've got a lot of information in Zaprite that we can feed to them to make accounting and everything a heck of a lot easier. So really excited about that one coming up. I don't know how fast I went through that, but I didn't see your 5-minute signal, so that's great. So I think we probably have time for Q&A. Still have half the time. Okay, 9 minutes. Okay, great. So yeah, as I mentioned, come hit us up anytime. Like, you can go to zaprite.com. We have a new website on the way, so current website is not that great, but email us, chat to us anytime. We're more than welcome to jump on calls and talk people through, give them a demo, guide them through the products we have, and we can even do that for like some of your clients as well. So if you have clients that you think are interested, feel free to hit us up, and we'll make that happen, and we'll get on calls with your clients, and we'll guide them through the process and see if we're a good fit for them. But yeah, I guess other than that, I'll do questions. Yeah. Thank you. Yes, was that on this screen? Or which screen? Okay, yeah, there we go. Yeah, so that's something we're working on now as well. We've got we've had a bunch of requests for Zapier over like the last kind of year or two. We're working on that now. I don't know when it's going to come out. We've got a lot of things, but we've started to kind of play around with Zapier and see what's required for us to actually build a really good, robust integration. So we're definitely working on that, and it will. To be honest, it will probably be Q1 next year. It won't be in the next kind of couple of weeks or so, but definitely something in the near term. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. So in the U.S. economy, the retail sector is about $6 to $7 trillion annually, and the service sector is another $7 trillion per year. So how are you going to? That's just the U.S. number one. So how are you going to get adoption, traction? How are you going to get the retail market to adopt this product and use it?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of different factors involved in that. One of them is just really about building the tools that makes their life easier. A lot of it is education as well, right? It starts with them understanding the store of value thesis of Bitcoin and wanting to get Bitcoin on their balance sheet. So they have to be kind of open to that idea first. And then it's just telling them about these tools that are available, whether it's Square to do it as a retail, or whether it's Zaprite or some other product, BTC Pay Server. Maybe they want to do it in a self-custodial way. But just making people aware of these tools and building the tools in such a way that it makes their life easier. I mentioned before, like, we meet customers where they are. We don't want to try and make them jump through hoops to accept Bitcoin. We want to make it as seamless for them as possible. So that's why we have these integrated checkouts that, basically, we have these integrated checkouts that basically allow you to plug in all of your existing payment methods. So if you're taking Stripe payments or if you're taking ACH payments, you can still do that. It's not going to interrupt any of your flows. You're just adding this extra option in there. And then a lot of it as well is merchants themselves educating their customer base that they want to accept Bitcoin, they prefer Bitcoin, and they have options to do it. And that's really what Zaprite is all about. It's like reducing that friction. You don't have to have these separate conversations with your customer base. You can just sign up for Zaprite, and now they'll see a Zaprite checkout when they go to pay, and they'll see the Bitcoin button there, like first-class citizen with everything else. And so you're not kind of demoting it to like another screen or another URL or an email thread you have to have with them. So yeah, there's a lot of it. Obviously, we know the Bitcoin adoption side of it is a long road, but we have to make sure that the tools are ready and that we're building the tools and they're available for when the time comes. But we're seeing, a lot of increased adoption. Like for the last 6 or 8 months, as Bitcoin has been sideways, we've seen our volume we've hit new highs every month for the last 6 or 8 months in volume. So people are transacting, and a lot of that is in Bitcoin, and a lot of it is on chain. So there are a lot of businesses out there that do send 4, 5, 6-figure invoices, and they need the tools there to be able to do that. So I hope that answered the question, but a lot of variables in that. Yeah. 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 Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. And there's things as well that things like refunds and things like that as well. Like there's no real native way to do that on Bitcoin, especially if you're trying to do that from somebody's hardware wallet, right? You can't pull the payments out to do a refund. So a lot of that is going to be manual anyway. So if there is an issue between a customer and a merchant, then yes, it's going to have to be manual intervention. But a lot of merchants will opt for that because they don't want to have somebody like Stripe, for example, to just arbitrarily be able to pull money away from them, and they have no real recourse from that, right? So they're happy to take on that little bit of extra manual risk to do something. And then on top of that, we can just build the tools that make that easier. For when those occasions do pop up, if they do pop up, we can build really nice refund flows where we can basically just generate transactions that they can then go to their wallet and pay. And then, it's just a normal Bitcoin transaction then at that point. And we're actually looking into like some of the next steps that we're going to be looking deeply into now as we go into 2026 is how we can actually, look at the consumer side and the payer side and start to do more kind of P2P transaction stuff on the retail side in order to help merchants use these checkouts and get better use out of them and increase their Bitcoin payment percentage-wise on those checkouts. And a lot of that will come from introducing tools that are easier on the consumer side as well, not just for paying, but also for things like chargebacks. If they need to do refunds and things like that, they actually have the tools available to do that. Yeah, Jordan. I mean, there's lots of different. Sometimes there's valid reasons for that, but for the most part, it's like there's so many different ways that you can counter that effect by like spend and replace is one, for example. Another is just that if you believe in the longer term store of value of Bitcoin and you have put in place, a system where you've been like, saving in Bitcoin over years and you've seen your Bitcoin increase in value, the logical thing is you have to understand that, okay, like this is a benefit for me, this is a win for me. And if I want to see this continue, and to be able to use this Bitcoin, you have to spend it yourself in order to promote Bitcoin spending and promote these businesses that do accept Bitcoin. At the end of the day, a store of value is only a store of value between two mediums of exchange. That's all it is. Your Bitcoin has zero value while it's sitting at rest until you actually go to sell it or exchange it or do something with it. You don't know what you're going to get for it. And so the value only comes in the transaction. And so you have to realize that you have to use it as part of. Now, I'm not saying hodling isn't using, it definitely is, but it's not using it fully. So you have to spend Bitcoin if you want to make sure that, that it basically proliferates as a medium of exchange. Otherwise, I think it's very much prone to regulatory capture. Awesome. Yeah, yeah. Parker bangs that drum constantly. He prefers the premium on the dirty fiat. Yeah, definitely, absolutely. Well, I think I got one more question, 1 more minute. Yeah, go for it. Not yet. No, not yet. But that's stuff that we're looking at further down the line. So when we get enough demand for that, we'll certainly look at it. But we've had 1 or 2 people ask us about that. But no, not yet. Yeah. All right. I think that's it. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thanks, guys.